The last ScrawlrBox of 2022, December. Let's take a look inside. This month's featured artist was Mr. Phil. Mr. Phil's an illustrator who creates lively and fun-filled images, which definitely inspired this month's Scrawlr challenge, Chaos Confined. Let's take a closer look at those supplies. Scrawlr zine, supply menu and prompt, featured artwork, sweet treat, Scrawlr sticker, A5 white card, UniPin chisel pen, Staedtler HB pencil, and 4 Edding acrylic markers. Let's do some swatching. I'm going to swatch on the paper that was provided in this month's box. So this is the ScrawlrBox A5 pad. It contains 10 sheets of 250 grams of white card, and it's extra smooth, perfect for scrawling. To get things started, we're going to have to activate these paint pens. As with most paint pens, you're going to need to pump them and shake them to get them activated. So shake them with the lid on, and then pump them a few times on a scrap piece of paper. We've used the ScrawlrBox here. Wait a couple of seconds to let that ink flow through. Pump a few more times and they are good to go. Starting with Opulent Turquoise, we're going to swatch this pen out. I used a light, steady hand and did small strokes. This way it ensures an even application of the paint. You can create some nice washes by adding water to these paint pens. You can do it on a palette or you can do it on the page like I've done here. Washes are great for filling in backgrounds and also larger areas of colour. You can get some really soft versions of these colours as well when you add some water. Of course, the more water you add, the lighter the wash. These markers come with a medium-sized nib, so that allows for more precise strokes and filling in larger areas. As mentioned, these markers are acrylic, so that means once dry they are fully permanent, so you can go back over the top with other items and it won't disturb the layer underneath. Moving on to the Staedtler Noris pencil, and this comes in a HB. And if you're from the UK, this may bring back a hint of nostalgia, as these pencils were often used in primary schools. You can't beat a classic, and this high quality pencil is ideal for writing, drawing and sketching. And finally, let's swatch out this UniPin Black Chisel Fineliner, and this one comes in a tube. This pen features a super ink, which provides high quality waterproof fade-proof pigment, making it perfect companion for all kinds of media as the ink won't smudge. Its chisel-shaped nib offers a broad and narrow edge for versatility in your mark making. Now that we have this box all swatched out, let's test out these supplies by trying out some tips and tricks. Let's create some texture. Experiment with different household items, or even other supplies that come in the box, or the actual box itself. You can create some really fun visual interest to your work this way. The first technique, we're going to use the tissue that's supplied inside the ScrawlrBox. So grab a palette and scribble that paint on. Add a bit of water to your paint on your palette so it goes a bit further. All you're going to do is scrunch up that tissue and dab away. Next up, we're going to use a dry paintbrush. You can also use an old toothbrush for this as well. You don't even need a palette for this one, you can scribble straight onto that paintbrush and get painting. This creates a really rough texture in comparison to the tissue dabs we did just a minute ago. Next up, we're going to use our ripped off piece of ScrawlrBox. I've ripped this down to a smaller size so it's easier to use. Obviously, the bigger the piece, the more it's going to spread the ink. Pump the pen down onto the page to get lots of lovely ink out and just sweep across in any direction you please. I must say it was really satisfying watching it sweep across, and it's still semi-transparent so you can see the textures underneath. Once the paint's dry, you really can go over the top with anything, so I've decided to show you how it looks with the pencil. Not really thinking about anything, just drawing, filling in gaps, making dots, and a little bit of shading. Let's go over the top of the graphite with some mark making. Usually graphite tends to stop other mediums because of its metallic shine and finish. However, these pens went over the top very easily. The further away from the nib you hold your pen, the less control over it, so you can create some really interesting marks this way. I laid on this pen quite thick so it will take longer to dry. For best results, you should always let it dry completely before going back over the top. While you wait, you can treat yourself to the sweets included in the box. or even make yourself a cup of tea, whichever you decide. Now that it's dry, we can go back over the top with that UniPin. Allowing each layer to dry means the paint won't bleed into each other, and it also means when you go back over the top with a Fineliner, like this chisel nibbed one, it won't ruin the nib. Mark making is so much fun and there's endless ways to do it. Switch up the angles you hold this pen to get different marks. And there we have it, Chaos Confined. What did you think of this month's Scrawlr challenge? Let us know in the comments below. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more. Until then, Scrawlers, keep scrawling.